everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here. Welcome back to One Piece. Oh my god! Right! Zoro, man! Zoro! A shot from 2 Yonko! A Yonko combo attack! He blocks that! Oh my god, right? Like, I'm not even going to give it a pretense this week. I'm not even going to do the thing where I, like, pretend that I haven't read the chapter yet, and when we finally get to that point, I'm like, oh, I'm so surprised, even though I just read the chapter, like, 7 times in a row to prep for the review, right? No. I gotta just tell you right out of the gate, man, we'll get to it when we actually get to the moment in the chapter, but let's not, like, kid ourselves here. That was one of the coolest moments in One Piece, where Zoro sees a combo attack from 2 Yonko, and he thinks to himself, I gotta see if I can block this. You know, I got Haki, I got Enma, I can't be considered the greatest swordsman in the world if I can't block a combo attack from 2 Yonko, right? Could Mihawk block a combo attack from 2 Yonko? Yeah, pretty sure he could. Mihawk might put a little bit of effort into it. He might have to use 2 hands on Yoru. But I think that Mihawk could, you know, hold his own with that. So I think Zoro realized, yeah, I gotta give that a shot too. I mean, yeah, Zoro also did it to, like, give Kid and Luffy and Law some more time to do their thing. So obviously he was buying time a little bit. But you gotta understand, this is Zoro here. Part of him was just like, oh yeah, I'll block the attack so they have more time to get away. But also, I want to see if I can do this. You know, I want to see if I can block this attack. I'm Zoro, Demon Ashura guy. I got to see if I can block this, okay? But, yeah, anyway, One Piece Chapter 1009 review titled Hell. And I didn't go back and look, but I am pretty sure Hell was a chapter title before. Oda does this every now and then. If you just go back to the story, you'll see a few chapters. I know Monster appears quite a few times, and I'm pretty sure Hell definitely appeared as a chapter title during, like, Impel Down. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure, because Oda does reuse them every now and then. The series has, like, over 1,000 chapters at this point. There's gonna be repeats every now and then. But anyway, the cover page is really cool. It's the Straw Hats hanging out with Tama and Koma Inu and the little Tanuki that has the, well, it's the teapot that has the Tanuki devil fruit, and they're hanging out in the Ringo region, like, in the snow. You know, it's nice. It looks cool. Robin looks lovely as always, you know, whatever. Anyway, we get to the actual chapter now, alright? So we continue with the castle being awash in flames. Awash in flames. Yeah, that's a term. It's on fire, right? And the Beast Pirates are trying to put the fire out as quickly as possible. You know, I would imagine, since that they're currently on Muffin Mountain, which is floating above, you know, Wano country proper, like they're several thousand feet above the ground, if the whole castle catches on fire, and if the whole island catches on fire, they won't really have anywhere to go. They'll have to, like, jump off the edge of Onigashima, and they'll land and they'll die that way. So they're, like, really trying to put out the fire so it doesn't spread in, like, what I can only describe as, like, a comedy routine. You know, like, Orochi and the Scabbards run into each other very awkwardly in the hallway, you know? It's just, there's some animosity between them and everything. And also, keep in mind, this is, like, the first, like, direct confrontation that, like, Kinemon has had with Orochi, right? Ever since the time jump, right? They've seen Orochi do some nefarious deeds here and there, but now they're, like, you know, face to face with him, right? Like, this is the first time that's happened in a while, where they're just, like, the Scabbards are running through the hallway trying to find Momo, and Orochi's just burning everything down indiscriminately because Kaido killed him, which is, you know, like, you know, Kaido beheads him, he decides to burn Kaido's castle down. I mean, that seems pretty fair, I guess, when you really think about it, right? But he's like, I am Lord Orochi! I burn everything down! Ha ha ha! Hi, Kinemon! Ooh! So, he turns, and he sees the Scabbards are all there. Not all of them, of course. Remember, Ashura Doji took the brunt of that explosion last time. So we got Kinemon, we got Denjiro, we got Raizo, we got Izo, Inu Arashi stayed behind to fight Jack, but we got Nekomamushi, and Okiku are all there. Kawamatsu is there as well. And so it's kind of like this moment where you think, like, alright, what's Orochi going to do? Because he's literally coming face to face now with the ghosts of his past, which turned out to be, like, an actual thing to worry about. Like, they really were going to come back one day due to the prophecy and, you know, attempt to kill him and take his throne and everything like that. So he's finally being faced with his fears. What's Orochi going to do? do? Fukurokuju goes up to him and he's like, Lord Orochi, the Scabbards, keep in mind, they did not see you die earlier. So from the Scabbards' perspective, they have no idea. It's actually a neat little parallel that Oda's doing here, where Orochi was like so paranoid and terrified of their ghosts for 20 years coming back from the dead, and now the Scabbards are arriving to Orochi, who also should, for all intents and purposes, be dead, right? He should be dead because he was beheaded by Kaido. So yeah, it's like for different reasons, for different contexts, they're like ghostly figures that are meeting that should have died, but they didn't. At any rate, Fukurokuju's like, hey, they didn't see you die before, so you need to retreat, Lord Orochi. You go back, you retreat, and I'll handle them. And Orochi is just like, Fukurokuju, I can't retreat. For one thing, the whole hallway's on fire. I mean, that would be fairly difficult for me to walk through fire. I am the Shogun, and I am pretty cool, and I am Lord Orochi, but even I can't walk right through fire. Also, everybody else would surround me and try to punch me and stab me, and that's not fun, so I'm just gonna take them down right here. They were weakened by Kaido anyway, and I am Lord Orochi! I have Orochi powers! So, Orochi kind of, you know, finds his courage here, if nothing else. He's like, hey, look, I can't go back because it's in fire right now, and, you know, everyone else is gonna surround me if I do that. I'm kind of like an enemy to everybody in this hall right now. Also, they're already weakened by Kaido because Orochi can see them, they're all bleeding, they're all bandaged up, Okiku's missing an arm. So, Orochi's like, you know what? I think I should be able to take care of them right now. I should be able to go into my mythical zone form, and I should at least be able to take these weakened Scabbards out. So he kind of, you know, like taunts them a little bit. He's just like, Kinemon, you Scabbards, you haunted my dreams for 20 years, but now I haunt your dreams in hell. I'm Lord Orochi. I'm not very good at taunts. I mostly spend my time drinking, but whatever. Let's do this. Roar! And then he activates his Yamato no Orochi fruit. Okay, now, a couple of things with this. This happens really fast, so I'm just going to tell you what happens, and then we're going to break this down, all right? So he transforms into his Yamato no Orochi form, all really intimidating, giant multi-headed serpent, like, hey, I'm Lord Orochi, blah! And then, boom! All the Scabbards immediately decapitate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his heads, okay? We got Kinemon, Denjiro, Raizo, Okiku, and Kawamatsu. They just unsheath their blades without saying a word and slice, 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 slice. And they just, boom, the heads all fall off of the snake body, boom, hit the ground, and then they proceed onward. Kinemon has a really badass line where he's just like, you know, we don't have time for you, Orochi, sheaths his sword. You will be judged in hell. And then they just proceed on to go find Momo. From what I understand from this panel, just to break that down just in and of itself, like how many people, like how many heads got decapitated here, it really just seems like 5. Now, from what I understand, Nekomamushi and Izo did not do anything here, which does make sense because Izo's thing is not using swords. Izo has guns, so it would make sense why Izo would not jump in to like decapitate one of the serpent heads. And Nekomamushi is missing one of his arms. He's got his Catling gun, okay? So they're kind of more gunfighters right now than anything. Now, the big thing, of course, we all wanted to know about here was there a head missing before this? Because it's the whole idea of the Yamato no Orochi. It's an 8-headed serpent, and, you know, Orochi got one of his heads sliced off by Kaido, so if he went into the Yamato no Orochi form and it only had 7 heads instead of 8, or there was 1 head obviously missing, then that would be like, oh, okay, so that's the function of the fruit, is it gives you 8 lives, essentially, before you can actually be killed. That could still very well be the case. It's just that with the way Oda draws it, I would say intentionally, the way that Oda obscures it, we do not get to see all of the heads. We see it once in silhouette, where we only see like 4 of the heads, and then we see kind of like a long drawn-out shot, but it's in like a tiny panel, and there I can only count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6 heads, maybe, okay? At any rate, we don't get to see a full view of Orochi like we did when he first went into the fruit, where we can actually count all the heads and everything like that. And then we just get the awesome page where the Scabbards all slice off the heads, the 5 of them that we actually get to see. I'm assuming Izo and Neko did not participate in that particular battle because they don't... I think Nekomamushi, doesn't he still have a sword, but he prefers to use, because he's missing an arm, so he has a gun now, so I guess he would just use that, you know, or or his acrobatics as a cat, his cat robatics, so to speak, where he was like flipping, Jack around and everything. But it would make sense why Izo and Neko would not participate in that. They wouldn't slice the heads off. So I'm just going to assume that is Orochi's ability, all right? Because Oda is really going over the top here with Orochi losing heads, which I have to say is très magnifique. It's beautiful, okay? It's like, yeah, can we just keep seeing this dude get decapitated over and over again? If that's just the rest of One Piece, it's just like in every chapter we see Orochi decapitated in some weird Final Destination-esque way, that would be cool, right? But no, so since he already got decapitated once by Kaido, that was 1 head gone, so now he's down to 7, and here's 5 heads decapitated at once, so now he would be down to 2. Now, I don't know if that means, like, 2 lives, and then he's on his default life, or he's killed 2 more times, and that's it. All I'm saying is, now we had a moment where the Scabbards got in on this, so I wanted to just see Denjiro and Kinemon do it, but alright, fine. Kawamatsu, Raizo, Okiku, they get in there too, that's great. Maybe Zoro could show up after the battle. Zoro shows up, they all walk down from the roof after they just take out Kaido, and they're all beat and bleeding, and Zoro has like a broken arm or whatever, and he's just like, ugh. And then, all of a sudden, out of the corner of his eye, Orochi's like, oh, you're Zoro! Roronoa! And he just takes out the sword and just, and just cuts his head off without even, like, looking. He's just so beat from the fight with Kaido, he's just like, huh? Oh, alright. And just continues on his way and then passes out, right? Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to assume that's the ability. Something else to bring up with Orochi's fruit that I never even noticed until just now when I was looking this up. So when Orochi first goes into his Yamato no Orochi form during the banquet, right? 7 out of the 8 of the serpent heads look like just regular serpents. Well, as regular as you can be based off of Orochi's face. But one of the faces actually does have his mustache and his crown. Alright, so the other serpent heads don't have the mustache, they don't have the crown, and in this chapter, I believe it's Kinemon, and we see it closer up later, so we know for certain. In this chapter, it's Kinemon that actually does slice off Orochi's head that has the mustache and the crown, like his main head when he transforms into the Orochi. Alright? I'm saying Orochi a lot, because that's his name and also the name of what he transforms into, so it gets kind of confusing. So yeah, I'm gonna say right now, Orochi has like 1 or 2 lives left if we're just going by this, but then again, it might be something like the Lamayan Hydra, where the damn heads can actually regrow, and that might be why Oda is just being so crazy with it now, where it's like, oh yeah, Orochi loses his head to Kaido, now he loses 5 more heads to the Scabbards. What if it's a situation where the heads can actually regrow? I don't think that's an actual myth in the Yamato no Orochi, in the actual lore, in Japanese myth, but it might be a thing where Oda's like, well, it's like the Hydra from Hercules' story, and we're already basing a lot of Heracles' labors off of Odin, so why not have him have the trait to regrow heads, and that might be the power, right? If that's the case, all you gotta do is basically the same thing Heracles did, and just, cauterize the wound so it doesn't grow back, and there's a lot of options there, considering he's lighting the whole damn castle on fire, but yeah, I don't know if it's a thing. If it's just like, you cut off the head and then that's just 1 life gone, he's only got 1 or 2 lives left. But if it's a thing where, like, the heads can regrow, and that, you know what? That actually might make more sense. Because Orochi has had this fruit, not just for 20 years. He had this fruit when he was a little kid, when Higurashi gave him that, like at the beginning of that flashback, like even before the flashback began with Odin and the mountain god incident and all that. It was a little bit before that Orochi first met Higurashi and received the fruit and then joined up with Yasuie, and that started that whole thing, right? So Orochi's had this power for 40-something years now. I find it hard to believe that he was just such an idiot. Okay, I don't find that hard to believe, but I find it hard to believe that in 40 years, he didn't realize what the power of his fruit was. Okay, so if Orochi figured out that the power of his fruit, the Yamato no Orochi mythical zone, was he turns into like a Yamato no Orochi that even when its heads are lopped off, it can regrow heads, and the only way he can die is if all the heads are lopped off and also are forced to not grow back. Something happens, like the wound is burned or something, and they can't grow back. That's the only way he can die. And that might be why Orochi was acting so invincible up until now, because he knows even if he gets beheaded, it might have even happened before. Who knows? Like, there might have been a situation like 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where an assassin might have snuck into the castle and, like, beheaded Orochi and tried to kill him. Like, this is for the Kozuki clan! Shing! And then he dies, and then, like, the Oniwabanshu came out of nowhere and, like, killed the assassin, and then Orochi just regrew another head, and he's like, ah! Fukurokuju, where were you? The assassins killed me! I was like, oh, sorry, Orochi, we were on our lunch break, you know, we're hungry too, oh, okay. I understand, but be careful next time! By the way, give me a sandwich, thank you. Okay, so it might have been something like that, where I can't imagine that in 40-something years, somebody might have actually tried to assassinate Orochi, and someone might have actually succeeded, right? And so Orochi just can't die unless this, like, really specific set of circumstances occurs, okay? So, at any rate, Fukurokuju does act very surprised, though. He is like, Orochi-sama, no! Because maybe even if he knew the nature of the fruit, that's still 5 heads he lost at once. That's still kind of pushing it, right? So he freaks out, and we see a close-up of Orochi's head with the crown and the mustache. They all walk away, except for Raizo. So Fukurokuju's still there, so somebody still has to fight him, and that's going to, of course, be Raizo the ninja, right? The former member of, not the Orochi Oniwabanshu, but Raizo used to be a member of the Sukiyaki Oniwabanshu, the ninja squad under Sukiyaki back in the day, right? And he left because I think the story there where how Odin found him was there was a female ninja, Kunoichi, that rejected him, and so he was sad and he left and he just went to go live out in the woods of, like, Udon or whatever. And it's possible that maybe Raizo was the leader of the Oniwabanshu back in the day under Sukiyaki, and then he left, and then Fukurokuju took over, and then when Orochi came to power, Fukurokuju became the new leader of the Oniwabanshu. That could have been a situation, because the two actually have a back and forth where Raizo actually commends Fukurokuju. There's a few different translations here. One translation was Raizo kind of like, I can't believe you would stay loyal to that idiot to the end. Kind of like he's, like, making fun of Fukurokuju, like, man, you're an idiot for following that dude. Why are you still following him? Like, what's the point, right? But in the official translation, he's actually commending him. He's basically saying to Fukurokuju, well, if nothing else, I guess you're loyal, right? Like, all the other samurai just basically laid down their swords in front of Kaido and agreed to follow him. I guess if nothing else, you were loyal to an idiot to the very end, right? And so he's kind of giving him a little bit of respect. And Fukurokuju is like, I could say the same of you involving Odin, still following Odin even though he's dead too. I guess that's just how we are, right? We're loyal to, like, dead fools, I guess. But anyway, Fukurokuju also says, he also implies that, like, we were always destined to fight in a ninja battle, Raizo! Ah, yes, a ninja battle. Naruto! Sasuke! And then they begin their ninja battle. They do the hand signs, the sign of the tiger, fireball jutsu! We're good. Fireball jutsu! And then this ninja battle's gonna be awesome, right? So, this is pretty cool. This is now laying it out more than I thought. Like, we have Inuarashi fighting Jack, we got Raizo fighting against Fukurokuju, alright? So this is all coming together quite easily. Frankie is currently fighting Sasaki. I would have liked to see Denjiro fight against Sasaki. Who knows, maybe Denjiro might show up, because Frankie's kind of dealing with Sasaki by himself right now. He doesn't really have anybody helping him out, so Denjiro showing up to help out him, that would be really cool. Hote, who is the leader of the Mimawari Gumi, he's kind of taken out by Hyogoro, so I don't know if, he's going to come back and somebody's going to fight against him or whatever. But it's going to be very interesting to see how these matchups really go. Definitely. Maybe Kawamatsu could fight against somebody from the Udon prison, although I guess not, because everybody's kind of like working for the Straw Hats from the Udon prison from now. Maybe Kawamatsu could fight against Queen, or help Chopper fight against Queen or something. I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but clearly throughout the next few chapters, we're going to have matchups, in between the Scabbards and the Tobi Roppo, or the other high hitters of the Beast Pirates or Orochi's group, right? So, yeah, just to clarify, I don't think Orochi's dead at this point. Oda's going crazy with the decapitation. He's probably still alive. Okay. So now we cut back to the dome. We cut back to Yonko versus Supernova battle this Sunday, Easter Sunday. Carrot does not appear in this chapter. That's, whatever. Anyway, they are up there, you know, the Scabbards, not the Scabbards, the Supernovas. A lot of S names. The Supernovas are still having a rough time against Kaido and Big Mom. Kid asks the million-dollar question of, like, hey, Law, why don't you just use your powers, you know, the magical room powers that you're always using to just, you know, teleport Big Mom away, and then there you go, problem solved. And we kind of already understood, like, you know, Law would have done that if he could have by now, and he even says, and he's like, if I could have, I would have done that, kid. I'm not a freaking moron, you know? Oh, but wow, I have teleportation powers. I forgot, you idiot. Shambles. Wow, it was really that easy. So we understood there was a reason for it, and we just assumed it was hockey, and Law clarifies that here. He's just like, dude, their hockey is just too ridiculously powerful, you know, it resists my devil fruit power, I can't move them. Or another way of implying it is like, if I could move them, it would not be of any significant distance. Like, I could barely budge them. Like, if I used all of my power in one move to, like, move Big Mom, I might be able to budge her, like, you know, like a foot to the left, you know, like it's not going to be, you know, enough to actually put them apart, right? So we got to figure out another way here. And Kid is just like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. That means we got to start to disassemble. All right, Kid. I don't know what that implies, but all right, let's disassemble. All right, because he's the mechanic. Let's see where this goes. All right, so now we have the badass scene. Now we have the scene with Kaido and Big Mom. Kaido, they both rear back with their respective weapons. Kaido in his hybrid form takes out the Kanabo, and it's just like, swish! And then Big Mom with Napoleon just, mama. And then Kaido's like, I hope that hip of yours won't, you know, give out or whatever. It's just like, who are you talking to? Mama. And then Yonko combo attack. The name of the Yonko combo attack. I am not making this up. In various translations, it can be read as Ocean's Sovereignty, which is similar to the Ikoku Sovereignty, the Big Mom move that she uses, right? Or Supremacy of the Ocean is another translation. But the way that you would say it in Japanese, and this is an Oda pun, this is a pun, but it's a glorious pun, is Hakai! Boom! Boom! And what does it do? It launches a giant F-off energy beam. That's what this does. This is like Vegeta's final flash here, okay? Hakai! Boom! Giant part of the Muffin Mountain of the Skull of Onigashima is completely wrecked from this. The shot, like, goes into space. Like, we don't actually see it go into space, but this thing would, like, you know, break through the stratosphere. I mean, it's a giant energy blast is what it is, okay? Now, Hakai in Dragon Ball is, of course, the technique used by the gods of destruction, like Beerus and everybody, you know? He's like, Hakai, and then you disintegrate. Wait, hold on. Video editing at its finest. Are you ready for this? All right, okay. All right, ready, Barry? Okay, hit me with a... Okay, here we go. All right, Barry, hit me with it. Hakai! Yeah, so it's basically like that. That was Barry, that was holding back his power, right? Yeah, that was a Hakai with, like, the safety on, okay? That's good. It's just, I come right back, okay. But anyway, yeah. So in Dragon Ball, it's written with the kanji, for one of the kanjis is like rip and or rend, and another kanji is like demolition. So you put those kanji together and you get Hakai, which just means destruction. The kanji here is different. The kanji here is read as the kanji for supremacy or leadership, and then the other kanji, umi, is for the ocean. So supremacy of the ocean, ocean sovereignty. So that's where those translations come from. But it is read the same as Hakai. So, and that's the pun, where Oda's like, yo, destroy, destruction. But, my god, I couldn't help but just, you know, make the Dragon Ball reference. Holy, I'm sure a lot of people did. And Zoro and Killer see this coming, and they're like, oh no, like it's like kind of like when an atom bomb goes off, right? It's just like you see the flash first, and then it's just you have a briefest of brief moments to realize that, oh oh. And so that's what happens there, where I feel like when they swing their weapons, the attack happens so damn fast that they swing their weapons and then... And you just see like a flashpoint from like the friction of them just swinging the weapons so damn fast. It's just... Oh, that's not good. And then you get hit with the blast wave, okay? So Zoro ties on his bandana, got his three-sword style, he jumps right in the center of this, and he blocks it. Not entirely. He holds it back for like 1 second, just enough to get Killer, Law, Luffy, and Kid enough time to escape. And he hits the brunt of that explosion, and he's like, you know, if we get hit by this, we're all dead, you know, so we gotta make sure that we can get through this. I don't know if Zoro... It's debatable whether or not Zoro realized he could actually survive this, and he's like, I got this, so I'll block it. Or if Zoro was like, this blast is going to take out one of us. At least if it takes out just, if I focus it on myself, it'll just take out me, and they'll have the rest of the time to escape, and then they can continue the fight, right? I don't know which way Zoro... I mean, I'm sure Zoro did not plan on dying, but, you know, the way he says it, it's just like, I'll block it, you guys get away. Zoro might not have been 100% certain he was going to survive this, right? So the blast hits, giant chunk of the mountain gets wiped away. Kaido can still sense all of their voices, so he's using observation. He's like, I can still sense all of their lives or their voices. They're still active, so none of them died from that attack somehow. They were like, impressive, Kaido. They all managed to get away. Mama. And then we cut over to all of them. Zoro's going to be messed up from this from the rest of the battle, and that's something that's very clear even by the end of this chapter. This is not one of those things that Zoro just like, oh, this is going to be tough, and then he takes a hit, and he coughs up some blood, and he's fine afterwards. No, nothing like that. This rattled Zoro a lot. This is going to take a lot out of him, okay? So he's on the ground, and everybody's just kind of like, how do you respond to something like that, right? Killer kind of praises him. Killer's just like, damn, Zoro, you managed to actually, you know, block the attack for a little while. We actually all managed to get away. I commend you for doing that, right? And so they're like, are you okay, buddy? Are you all right, buddy? And Zoro's just on the ground like, yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good. Just gotta walk it off. I'll be all right. So Zoro could still move, but he's seriously injured, all right? He probably took some internal damage from that. Luffy takes this opportunity to, like, spring into action. He doesn't even wait around. He springs right into action, activates his Red Hawk to attack Kaido. Kaido dodges it, and Luffy just kind of smirks at him and is just like, hey, Kaido, you dodged my Red Hawk because it would hurt if I actually hit you with it. And Kaido's just like, yeah, whatever, kid. And then, bam, hits Luffy with the Kanabo. Luffy blocks with his Haki. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Katakuri, though, when Luffy and Katakuri were, like, you know, fighting with, like, fisticuffs, and, you know, Katakuri's Haki was stronger than Luffy's, so it, like, you know, his hands were, like, all swollen up, and it's just like, ow, that hurt, that stung. Kind of the same thing here with Kaido, where he gets hit, and he blocks the Kanabo hit, but he's just like, ow, that hurts, it, like, throbbing his hands. And then Kaido, this is cool, we actually get to see his hybrid form take a few different forms here, like, you know, halfway transformations and stuff, where Kaido, in his hybrid, does have regular legs and like a dragon tail, but we see a scene where actually the lower half of his body, like the entire lower half of his body, turns into the dragon tail, and he can use that to fly. So he literally dodges the attack, turns his lower body into a dragon tail to kind of like swirl around Luffy, and then he's like twirling his Kanabo in the air, and then he uses 3 worlds Ragnarok! Alright, man, like... This chapter, in a long while, he uses a lot. There's a lot of really cool sounding named attacks in this chapter. We got Hakai and we got Ragnarok. I mean, come on now. He is Kaido. I expected him to have a technique called Ragnarok in his repertoire somewhere. I mean, it's the most badass name for the end of the world that you can think of. Armageddon, the Rapture, what's another way for the end? Just the end times in general. But Ragnarok, I mean, that's pretty cool. let me know. I'm sure there's like all these different, cultures that have like a different name for how you would refer to Armageddon or the end of the world, right? And I'm sure they all sound badass, but, what's the way you would say it in like German? Because I imagine that would be the coolest, like end of the world, like German. Because in German, I watched a video once where it was like all about like different words, and then you get to German. So like ambulance is just ambulance or ambulanza, and then when it gets to German, it's just like Krankenwagen. So I'm like, okay, yeah, the Armageddon in German would probably sound pretty impressive, right? Anyway, on top of that, Kaido also like unhinges his jaw and like launches a Boro breath, which he is a fish, a duck, and a dragon, so why not include snake in there too? So he like, increases his jaw, says like, whoa, and then blasts Luffy. Oh my god, it's insane. And then he uses three hells Ragnarok, and he strikes the ground. Wait, does Luffy get hit by that? Oh my god, hold on. Wait, it was such a cool attack. I don't actually know if Luffy got struck. Oh no, yeah, holy crap. Luffy took that head on. It was such a cool attack. I was swept up in the name of it and the presentation that, like, did that actually hit Luffy? That hit him head on. Like, Luffy's body, like, got hit, like, right front and center, right in the chest from that. Oh, man. Do we see Luffy at any point in the chapter afterwards? Hold on a second. Oh. Okay. So, that's something I missed. Luffy got struck point blank from Kaido in his hybrid form using a crap load of armament hockey with an awesome sounding technique, 3 hells or 3 realms Ragnarok, and Luffy on the ground got hit right here because you see his legs under the Akanabo when he gets hit, like boom. We don't see Luffy anywhere else in this chapter after he got struck. We see Kid doing something with Law, like a combo. Zoro's there. Maybe Law could have used his shambles to, like, teleport Luffy back, because that's kind of what Law's been doing. I hope. But Luffy definitely got struck by that attack. That was not like he got teleported away before it hit. That definitely hit him head on, in fact. So I guess we'll see what happens next. Yeah. Also, I don't think I have to add anything to the counter this time because Zoro, he blocked the shot for like a minute, the Hakai from Big Mom and Kaido, but he didn't attack them. Luffy's Red Hawk missed, and then he just got hit by Kaido a bunch of times. So yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes, but Luffy might have a few broken ribs from that. I know he's made out of rubber, but, that was a lot of hockey there. Anyway, we move on to the last scene of the chapter where we implement the master plan here to get Big Mom separated from Kaido. And they actually come up with this really fast, and they also all work together to make this happen. So this is really cool. So the first thing is that Kid, and they don't even have time to talk this over of what they're planning on doing. They just have to read each other's minds or whatever, use observation or intuition or whatever. So Kid takes all the scrap metal around him and makes like a box of metal. Right, just out of scrap, okay? And then he's like, it's ready, Trafalgar! And then Law's like, yup. And he uses shambles, without any of the backsass this time, uses shambles and teleports Zeus, not Big Mom, but Zeus, into the box. And so Zeus is inside this metal box, like discharging all a bunch of electricity. He's like, where is this? Let me out! I'm assuming, considering Kid is like a mechanic and he knows a lot about like mechs and giant robots and everything, I would assume he knows how to like, okay, what kind of scrap metal, what kind of material is really good at conducting electricity, right? So if, like, for example, if the inside of that metal box is all wrapped up in like copper wiring or something, or the equivalent of the One Piece world, right? Copper wiring, that conducts electricity really well. So maybe you could just have that all crammed in there, and so Zeus, he's just like caught in, I'm not an electrician, okay? I'm just like, he's caught in the copper wiring doing this, and he can't escape, all right? He's stuck in this like conductive box. It's like a, what are those things called? What are those things called that block out? Faraday cage. He's in a Faraday cage. Freaking Kid made a Faraday cage. Alright? And don't say he couldn't do that. Kid is very brutal. He doesn't seem like the smartest character in One Piece, but he knows mechanics, and he knows how this stuff works, okay? He's like an engineer, kind of. I wouldn't even be surprised if, Kid was like the main shipwright for the Victoria Punk, for their ship, right? I mean, that would make sense. I mean, him and Killer, they might both have that expertise, right? So, if he made like a Faraday cage kind of deal that can like contain Zeus, that's awesome. And then Zoro and Killer step up to plate. Killer's kind of like, hey, Zoro, you gonna be good? And Zoro's still coughing up blood, still very, very wounded, and he's like, I guess I'll have to be. He's like, are you okay? I'm okay enough. I guess we gotta go do this, so it doesn't really matter, right? So he charges in, and Killer and Zoro both jump up, and Zoro targets Prometheus, slices him in half, and before he has a chance to reform, because he's just a fireball, Zoro uses the same technique he used against the Kraken way back at after the time skip, so like over 10 years ago now, which is crazy, but he uses the Flame Rend crossing of the six paths, so he uses the same thing he used to slice up the Kraken tail, and so he uses that to slice up Prometheus into a bunch of different, like, you know, sparks or embers. I'm assuming with enough effort, Prometheus could get back together from that, but it's going to take a little while to reform, alright? He can't do it right away. But even so, we're not talking about like them being contained for a long period of time, just long enough to get them separated from Big Mom so they can get her out of there, okay? And so that's what they're aiming for right now. So Zoro slices up Prometheus into a bunch of different pieces, and the funniest scene is Killer, because Killer just takes out like his Punisher blades, I still love that they're called that, his spiral Punisher blades, and like strikes Napoleon out of Big Mom's hand, and then he starts just chasing Napoleon around the battlefield. And Napoleon is like a sentient sword hat thing, and so you just have a scene where Napoleon is like a sword like jumping around the battlefield on its hilt. You know, I'm not part of this. You know, Big Mom was the one swinging me around. I'm just a sword, right? And then Killer is just attacking him with the blades and knocking him away, trying to get him as far from Big Mom as possible. Okay, so that was pretty funny. They had to build a Faraday cage to block Zeus. Zoro had to use a special flame slicing technique to deal with Prometheus, and Killer is just like, alright, I'm just gonna chase the sword away from the battlefield and just keep hitting it enough and have it go away, right? That's pretty funny. And so, Kid then proceeds to use a technique called punk pistols, which is basically like taking a bunch of like, you know, scrap metal, making arrows out of them, like arrowheads, and then using his magnet power to like, you know, fire them directly at Big Mom. They don't do anything to her. She actually resists them very easily, and she says, oh, do you think you could fight me just because you got rid of them? You know, at the end of the day, Big Mom's homies, like Prometheus, Zeus, and Napoleon, yes, they are made out of her soul, but they're probably only made out of a small part of her soul, okay? So even without them helping her, I mean, it's very important that they're around her because they allow her to fly and, you know, do all that stuff, and we're gonna get into that in a moment, but without their help, she's still a formidable force. So Big Mom resists the pistols and then proceeds to just grab and just punch Kid into the ground. Kid takes a punch from Big Mom to the face, bam, into the ground, and he doesn't lose consciousness. Instead, he uses his mech arm to grab onto Big Mom, and then he like looks right up at her, and it's just repel, and then boom, launches Big Mom away. And then Law uses tact to summon a giant boulder, and then bam! Slam into Big Mom, and, you know, she's like, oh, what do you think a boulder will do? Mama! And then she gets pushed over the side of Onigashima, and she starts falling down. She says, like, oh, there's nothing but sea below! And then we don't see her fall, like, where she's falling. She's just falling down. And she's like, Zeus, Prometheus, help me! And they're like, we can't, because Zeus is in the box, and Prometheus is shredded, so he can't help her. And Napoleon can't fly anyway, so that wouldn't be any help. But yeah, so she's falling, and she's out of the battle. And so the last scene of the chapter, we just have Law being like, you know, Zeus and the others can't save you now, and we see Zoro coughing up blood like a lot. Like that attack, that flame rend to slice up Prometheus, that is just like, he's coughing up a lot of blood after that, alright? So like I said, this is going to be a persistent thing. Zoro is not just going to be able to easily recover from this, okay? It's like after Zoro took the hit from Kuma at Thriller Bark, even after he was apparently all healed up, after he did the bubble, like nothing happened. Of course nothing happened, but something happened. Even the next arc, when they're at Sabaody, he was still suffering from the injuries when they were fighting against the PX4 and then Kizaru. Like, those injuries persisted. Okay, that might be a thing where it's gonna mess up Zoro for the immediate future, right? So that's the end of the chapter, with Zeus and Prometheus on lockdown, and Napoleon being chased by Killer, and then Big Mom falling below. Now, she did say there's nothing but sea below, but I'm assuming also maybe because they're in the clouds, they're not, like, maybe they can't see the surface exactly because they're surrounded by cloud cover. I think that Onigashima's probably over mainland Wano by now, because we did see Mount Fuji, you know, earlier. Like, I think last chapter we saw it approaching Mount Fuji. So I don't think Big Mom's going to fall into the sea. You're not going to get rid of her that easily. I think she's going to land in mainland Wano, which is going to be a problem. Imagine, like, you're in the middle of the Fire Festival having a good time, and all of a sudden, boom! Just Big Mom crashes down like an alien in the middle of the freaking festivities and just like, Mama, how dare they? And everyone just looks at her like, is this part of the festival? Is this like the boar of the Chinese zodiac? Oda actually did depict Big Mom as the boar of the Chinese zodiac. He actually did that before. So it's like, yeah, interesting kind of premise that we're going with here. But yeah, I love the tactics. I love them all working together here. It was really cool because I think the way that Kid's magnetic repel works, his repel technique, I think it's like the closer something is to him, the further his repel actually, you know, pushes them away. Because it's like magnetic polarity of, you know, like north and south, or like almighty push from like Naruto that like Pain does. So in order to get Big Mom pushed away at the maximum distance, she has to be like up close to Kid. So he had to take the hit, but he took the hit, and then he uses repel to like launch her away. So that was really cool. So Kid took a lot of damage, Zoro took a lot of damage, and Luffy took a lot of damage. Look, Luffy took so much damage, we do not even see him after he got hit by Kaido. I'm going to go back through this and I'm going to check, but I don't think that we see him at all after that attack hits. Yeah, I'm not seeing Luffy anywhere. Okay, so we'll see next chapter how he recovers from that. It might be a thing where like, oh yay, we defeated Big Mom, she's out of the fight. Now all we have to do is fight against Kaido of the Beasts. Woo, it's so much easier now, right? Well, I mean, it will be easier now, but this is still gonna be tough, right? And so Kaido might just be walking out of the rubble after he launched his Ragnarok technique and just hold up Luffy by his freaking hair and just be like, yeah, whatever, you got rid of the old hag. Alright, Zoro, you're about to bleed out. Kid, you look like you have a broken jaw. Or like, you know, 4 of them, 4 broken jaws, you know, all at once, like in 4 different places. And yeah, so Law, you want to give it a shot, Killer, I guess? You know, bring it on, and Luffy's unconscious. So yeah, I think Luffy's gonna take some serious damage from that. I mean, he'll be able to get back up and everything, but that's a lot of damage. Yeah, that's a lot of damage right there. But anyway, I love this chapter. It was cool to see the Scabbards just decapitate Orochi 5 times over. That was a lot of fun. And just the attack names from Big Mom and Kaido, and then Kaido's Ragnarok move. I mean, you can't ask for more badass shonen attack names. I mean, right? Like, right? No, you can't. And the moment where Zoro took the attack, and then they separated all the homies from Big Mom, that was really clever. Like, really, all of the 5 had a moment to shine here in a big way. And they're taking a lot more damage, but hey, that's the name of the game at this point. So Big Mom is definitely going to fall, I think, in mainland Wano, and maybe not right in the flower capital, but she's going to hit the island. Maybe she'll hit the mountain. She'll just land on the top of Mount Fuji, maybe. That would be funny. And then you could have a scene where maybe the Scabbards, you know, not the Scabbards, the Supernovas get together and like, all right, well, Luffy's barely conscious and Zoro's coughing up blood. I think he ruptured a lung, but let's fight, okay? And then maybe we'll cut back down to see what's going on here with the rest of, like, the Tobi Roppo fights. I don't know. But certainly a very bombastic chapter, to use a word. Bombastic! I'm going to give the MVP this week. There's a few that could actually take it, but I think I'm going to give the MVP to Zoro, because that was a pretty cool scene, just because he fought against, like, the Hakai technique. You know, does that make Zoro a god of destruction now? Yes, it does, in fact. You know, Zoro in an alternate universe would be the god of destruction in the Dragon Ball world, so yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking and Barry signing out. Later, everyone.
Hakai!